Hello everyone and welcome back to Neon 10 Production. If you have missed my previous reaction, which was the Hololive Best of September, I've already mentioned this one, but if you haven't, it's okay. I will be reacting to Then Meet Wolfman 2010 Killcount. I love the movie. I love both movies. I love the original with Lon Chaney Jr. and the remake also, for both two different reasons. The original is a classic of the time. Universal monster, always cool. Whatever version they are, except for a few exceptions, but yeah, in general they're very cool. And the remake was kind of cool, a very different kind of movie, but yeah, I loved it. Okay, let's not wait too long and let's start the reaction. Let's see how many kills we'll have in this reaction, in this video. Wait, just a second. I have to do something before I start. Okay, this will be better, I think. Okay, sorry.
What? We tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at the Wolfman remake from 2010. The Wolfman, now a compound word, came out when the horror genre was dominated by remakes. It's a modern production of the 1941 classic, updated with tons more action and blood, elaborate effects, both practical and digital, and a whole heaping pile of jump scares. It's honestly very good being a remake. It expands upon the original with enough nods to satisfy longtime fans, and spins the material off into a different direction, specifically a father-son feud. For all those strengths though, I still didn't enjoy watching it. I thought the pace was slow and the performances disappointing. Anthony Hopkins is bizarrely bad and basically asleep on his feet.
Hans, Holy Mother of God.
No, seriously, this may be his worst performance I've ever seen.
On the other hand, the wounds were so terrible that only something human would seem capable of such wanton malevolence.
Jesus, Tony, at least learn your lines. I can't talk too much shit about the movie though, not after learning about its production problems. This one needs a bit of an extra intro. The Wolfman was a massive production that massively failed. It was crapped on by critics and bombed at the box office. The then president of Universal called it one of the worst movies the studio ever made. I don't think it's quite that bad. This is the studio that gave us Cat in the Hat after all. But it was plagued by problems with everything from the director to the score. Production went over schedule and nearly doubled its budget, which it then failed to recoup in its global gross. The release was moved 5 times during a 1.5 year long delay. This thing was a mess is what I'm saying. And yet it's a fascinating mess, especially from the perspective of how movies are made. The Blu-ray has a great collection of special features that are highly informative for anyone interested in visual effects, makeup effects, stunts, or just filmmaking in general. Check them out. Throughout them all, you see the passion by Benicio del Toro, who not only plays Lawrence Talbot, but was also a producer who helped develop the film. Del Toro, a huge Wolfman fan, is basically the reason this movie was made, since he stuck by it through multiple writers and directors. Mark Romanek was attached as director for a year before leaving over creative differences. He said he wanted to make a more artistic movie than the studio was asking for. Joe Johnston was hired a mere 3 weeks before production began, which is cutting it insanely close. Johnston was more of an effects and action-y guy, having directed Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Jumanji, and Jurassic Park 3. The year after Wolfman, he'd direct the first Captain America. Makeup effects were done by Rick Baker, one of the most prestigious artists in his field. It was Jack Pierce's work on the Wolfman and other Universal monster films that first made Baker want to be an effects artist. In 1981, Baker created the most famous werewolf transformation sequence in An American Werewolf in London. Thanks to Del Toro, Johnston, and Baker, the Wolfman 2010 is a gothic, gory roller coaster with a well-done Victorian Shakespearean atmosphere. Despite its faults, I'm not surprised to learn it's been having a bit of a reappraisal lately. If you're into werewolves, you could do a lot worse than this remake that was clearly made with love. How many villagers will we see get turned into dog treats? Let's find out and get to the kills. The movie begins with Kurt Siodmak's werewolf poem from the original.
Even a man who is pure of heart and says his prayers by night may become a wolf when the wolf's bane blooms and the autumn moon is bright.
It's 1891 in Blackmore, England.
I just noticed something. Did they use that line in the Quarry game? I'm pretty sure I've heard it in the game. Tell me in the comments if you can confirm or disperse my comment.
And little dead Riding Hood Ben Talbot just found a big bad wolf in the woods. A couple of bloody claw swipes shows us this ain't your grandma's Wolfman movie, and this ain't your grandma's Wolfman title card, because it's one word now. Ben's disappearance causes his brother, Lawrence Talbot, to return to their home of Talbot Hall, which is about 80% soot. I like how much Benicio del Toro resembles Lon Chaney Jr., as he plays remake Lawrence, who's lived most of his life in the US as a Shakespearean actor. He reunites with his father, Sir John Talbot, played by everyone's favorite cannibal, Anthony Hopkins.
Lo and behold, the prodigal son returns.
This remake changes Sir John from a slightly overbearing father into an emotionally abusive guy who can barely contain his contempt for his son. Like, watch where you're pointing that barrel, Pops! Lawrence wants to help search for his brother, but a half-acted Sir John tells him it's too late.
Unfortunately, your brother's body was found in a ditch by the Priory Road yesterday morning.
Apparently the studio saw footage of Anthony Hopkins and asked why he wasn't, quote, doing anything. Johnston told them the performance might work better in the edit. It didn't, and I think Johnston is aware.
And as you're watching, you go, wow, what was that? What was he doing there? That was sort of strange.
To see his brother's body, Larry rides into the nearby village, which was played by the village of Castle Combe in Wiltshire. Castle Combe is one of many excellent settings for the Wolfman, since it's a real-life period town with no modern touches to it. All production had to do to match the era of the film was cover up road signs and dirty up some houses. The local butcher has been keeping Ben's body on ice, and even though he's warned not to, Larry takes a peek. Holy Walking Dead! Yeah, maybe make this a closed casket funeral. He pops by the pub for a pint, where some gossiping locals mention how 2 other men were killed in similar attacks, but we never met them, so it doesn't count. Pub owner Mr. Kirk blames a local Romani camp and a bear, but local Rambler McQueen posits the presence of a werewolf.
Whatever did it was big, had claws, and didn't mind a load of buckshot.
Great Quint-like monologue here by Scottish actor Clive Russell, aka the motherfucking Blackfish. Larry returns home to check on remake Gwen Conliffe, who wrote to him about Ben's disappearance in the first place. Gwen is now Ben's fiance, or ex-fiance I guess, meaning this remake has no need for Frank the Wank. She's currently staying at Talbot Hall with her Ironborn maid. Hell yeah, Game of Thrones actors! Lawrence and Gwen meet face to face for the first time, and he pledges to remain in England and find out what happened to Ben. The death weighs heavily on both of them, and it doesn't help when Larry opens the door into the house's flashback room. Come on, Lair, stay in the present. No time to think back to those Donald Duck races. He remembers a night when his brother was a young Asa Butterfield.
Lawrence, wake up. I heard something.
Oh shit, we ghosted! Larry the Tiny Talbot left Ben and wandered the grounds alone that night, trying to beat his previous best record in a time trial race. Larry came upon his mother, Solana, dead from an apparent suicide with a straight razor. He found her in his father's arms, who sent Lawrence to an asylum for a year and then off to the United States. Rough history between them, but maybe they can bond over a telescope like in the original. Bonus points, this one's not pointed at the bedroom window of the love interest. Ben's belongings from the butcher include a mysterious medallion, which Lawrence traces to a nearby Romani camp, all while the full moon hunts him like this were moonfall. He's sent to see the fortune teller Maliva, played here by the tramp's daughter Geraldine Chaplin. She was Iris the nanny in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. He begins to ask her about his brother when a classic pitchfork mob arrives. They're here to nab themselves a dancing bear pelt, blaming the recent deaths on this poor Ursine entertainer. Before this silly Bobby, Constable...
Always the bears, huh? God damn it.
Nye can get things under control, the killing begins, starting with a guy played by Rick Baker in a cameo, who gets tackled and snackled on off screen. Alongside makeup supervisor Dave Elsey, Baker won the Best Makeup Oscar for his work on this film. Fitting, since he won the first ever Best Makeup Oscar for his work on An American Werewolf in London. The stealth werewolf infiltrates the camp, turning this rando into lasagna in the middle of a crowd. The whole camp erupts into a panic, and several people lose limbs, but not their lives, as far as counting goes. In the chaos, Mr. Kirk accidentally shoots a passing shadow puppeteer, then is attacked and killed by a pair of hairy hands. Constable Nye finds another dead body in a nearby wagon, but a pulse check causes him to lose a couple of fingers. The beast then claws him through the jaw and out the mouth. God damn! Maybe check for a first aid kit while you're in there, dude. Lawrence arrives, saves a woman, and grabs a rifle from a dead body on the ground. Too bad, just like in the original, his wolf targeting ain't shit. He decides to pursue the beast into this Stonehenge-looking clearing. Hope he doesn't run into
for the
Colonel
faint of
Cochran.
heart.
Oh,
That's
you know
for
what?
sure.
This is actually probably worse. The creature takes a big old chunk of Larry out of his neck before he's rescued and taken back to Maliva, who nurses him back to health. While others there want to put this dangerous dog down, Maliva thinks that's the owner's decision.
He can only be released by someone who loves him.
Hope you ain't talking about Sir John Maliva, or else our boy Lawrence is screwed. They overnight ship him back to Talbot Hall, where Larry exhibits symptoms like speed ramping. He also experiences some light sparkle hallucinations and a bad case of boneritis. Oh shit, and a visit from Trainspotting Gollum? When he wakes up from his fever dreams, family physician Dr. Lloyd discovers his
like
wounds have healed
Gollum.
at a remarkable rate. It's one of the few scenes lifted directly from the original, though remake Lloyd doesn't engage in PJ Peekaboo. Does prescribe him some Gatorade Frost though. The strange events finally catch the attention of Scotland Yard, who send over Mr. Smith to take care of the situation. Hugo Weaving is playing
Francis Aberline.
a character inspired by Frederick Aberline, the real-life inspector who tried to catch Jack the Ripper. That real-life background is applied to the fictional Francis.
Weren't you in charge of the Ripper case a couple years back?
Aberline voices a suspicion towards Larry due to his history of mental illness, but the only thing we learn from this scene is that Hugo Weaving's the only one giving an interesting performance. Larry goes out to the lake where he questions his sanity. Yep, still screwy. He's joined by his dead brother's ex, taking a break from subbing for and dressing like Miss Peregrine. Remake Gwen Conliffe is played by Emily Blunt, last seen on the kill count in both Quiet Places. I like Blunt a lot, but does she get anything to do in this movie?
No.
Lawrence gives her a flirtatious rock throwing lesson, and pretty soon she's sending them jungle cruising across the lake. It's kind of father-sonny for a first date, but you know what? These two don't have any actual romantic chemistry, so whatever. Also, Larry could use a loving father relationship. His developing dog ears discern a distant din. He returns home to find the Hat Brigade here to arrest him. Here's a hat, and another hat. The hats get stupider in every shot. Hatting it up are local landowner Squire Strickland and this movie's Colonel Montfort, looking more like Colonel Mustard to me. They've heard rumors of Larry's werewolf bite and want to capture him for safekeeping, but they're stopped by a gunshot from a tired old man.
Sorry, Colonel. I meant to shoot you. Sadly, I'm not the marksman I used to be.
Okay, that was actually kind of baller. You win this one, Tony. They can go on and get. Gwen dismisses the townsfolk's fears as backwards and old-fashioned, but Larry's super healing convinces him they might have a point. Also not a good sign that he's going gaga over Gwen's décolletage. He visits Singh, his father's loyal servant, who tends to the estate in between dates with Stede Bonnet. Singh tells Lawrence his family is cursed and shows him a stash of silver bullets. When you need those as a safety plan, might be a good idea to send the love interest away. Lawrence tells Gwen she can't wait until the edge of tomorrow. She has to return to London now so she can be safe from him. And hey, if it keeps her from being in this movie for the next 30 minutes, good for her. The town prepares for the upcoming full moon with many a swing of the hammer. Aberline swings by the pub so we can get some good acting as a doggy treat.
Rules, Mrs. Kirk. They're all that keep us from a dog-eat-dog world, you know.
At Talbot Hall, Lawrence notices his father going out for a midnight stroll. He follows him to a crypt, which we saw brother Ben running towards in the movie's opening. Inside, Lawrence finds a shrine to his dead mother, as well as a lazy boy that only dads are allowed to sit in. Speaking of the Popkins, Anthony Hopkins popkins in to explain his performance.
You see, I'm quite dead.
He escorts Lawrence out and closes the door behind him, locking himself inside so he can twinkle his eyes in peace. Lawrence starts getting his dog on, his joints elongating in a painful looking transformation, clearly inspired by Baker's seminal work in An American Werewolf in London.
For sure.
This first transformation is hidden in shadows and reflections. They wanted to save the full reveal for later. It still required reshoots to help flesh it out, meaning the effects team had to combine shots that were filmed months apart. Baby's first howls are heard by Aberline back in town, so he hightails it into the woods. Wolfman Larry Evil Deads his way towards some bait and falls into a pit trap set by the townsfolk. The men rush to inspect it, but one poor soul, Johnny, loses his step and tumbles in, quickly earning a slash to the face and a 5-finger death punch through the stomach. Ooh, and a kid? Oh, no, not a kid. McQueen tries to take aim, but Wolfie Boy yanks him into the party pit. In a darkly comedic kill, he dismembers McQueen and tosses his still-firing gun arm back up to his friends. He pops up out of the hole and 2 more shooters are killed. This one local, who takes some friendly fire, and Squire Strickland, who's Freddy vs. Jason flying into a wall. Lawrence wraps up this attack by killing 2 legacy characters from the original. First on the menu is Colonel Montfort, who gets stuck in some marsh muck before Larry knocks his block off with a claw swipe. Next up is Dr. Lloyd, who's attacked and killed off screen, as Aberline gets to this Elden Ring looking place and discovers the leftover carnage. I don't mind that these 2 characters, who kind of come from the original, are killed. Like I said during that movie's kill count, they weren't anything special to begin with. What was special was Jack Pierce's Wolfman makeup on Lon Chaney Jr., and both Rick Baker and Benicio del Toro wanted to pay homage to it. After designing a face that was similar, but not too similar, to the OG version, Baker did what he's done since childhood and tested the makeup on himself.
I like doing that because I like to see what it's like on the other side.
Eventually, it was Del Toro's turn. The actor got a whole body life cast out of alginate, the same stuff used for teeth molds at the dentist. Every body part was sculpted into a prosthetic, which then needed to be painted and fitted with hair. The hair was a whole operation. Teams of 20 people would punch hair into the spandex suit and foam pieces, individually knotting them strand by strand. 4 different shades of yak hair were used, along with finer human hair and even finer wolf hair to give the fur a nice gradation of thickness. This fursuit is a work of art, and I'm glad Baker was able to get it made.
The production manager called me into the office once and said, What is this? Why are you buying all this hair? What is this hair for? I go, seriously? He goes, why do you need this hair? And he had behind his desk, he had a big sign that said Wolfman.
To mimic the way Lon Chaney walked in the original, effects supervisor Dave Elsey suggested leg extensions. They used prosthetics designed for people who are missing limbs. Finally, the Wolfman face was built up in the usual arduous process, which took between 4 and 5 hours to apply. Del Toro seemed totally fine with it though. I'm telling you, he was into this role. Like, really into it. Ew. Larry wakes up the next morning in a trunk bed, looking a little worse for werewolf. Sir John chastises him with glee.
Terrible things, Lawrence. You've done terrible things.
Well, maybe I just need a dad who loves me! Since he didn't renew his license to kill, Larry is arrested by Aberline's men with a violent gun punch on the grounds of Talbot Hall. The Talbot home is played by the historic Chatsworth House in Derbyshire. They were supposed to have 9 weeks to shoot at Chatsworth, but thanks to scheduling issues, only had 1. That is not a ton of time for all the stuff they had to film there. Lawrence is sent back to Lambeth Asylum in London, where his father sent him as a child after he discovered the death of his mother. He's reunited with Dr. Henniger, who treated him in his youth and who oozes with evil doctor vibes.
We have made enormous strides in the treatment of delusions such as yours.
Those strides include riffraff waterboarding Lawrence to rid him of his werewolf delusions. All the Arctic Enema does, though, is give him hallucinations of headless Hamlets and haunted mansion statues. Whoa, and some very poppin' side boob. He awakens from this Bosler-manian nightmare to find his father paying a family visit. Sir John reveals that his glowy eyes were because he's a werewolf too. He became one during a hunting trip in Tibet, where he was bitten by a weregolem. This werewolf boy from Tibet origin was inspired by 1935's Werewolf of London, that lesser-known werewolf prototype film that I have yet to see. After his return, Sir John accidentally killed his wife during his first transformation. It's a memory little Lawrence had suppressed, probably with the help of Dr. Henniger, but now he remembers.
You killed my mother.
Yeah, I suppose I did.
With this reveal, Lawrence tries to get himself banned from Xbox Live.
You should kill yourself.
He only gets angrier when he finds out his father also unintentionally killed Ben, though that may have been a subconscious murder since Sir John was falling in love with Gwen? Wait, what the fuck? That motivation is revealed in this scene and then never really brought up again. Seems dumb. Up until recently, Singh had been locking Sir John in the crypt every full moon for safety. That's why the dad chair looked a little kinky. But the elder Talbot is done restraining himself.
I should have let it run free. Kill or be killed.
He leaves Larry locked in his cell, playing the prison harmonica on his way out. What a Hanniballer. And that was actually Hopkins' idea. I don't know, must have had his coffee that day. The next full moon, Dr. Henniger wheels Lawrence out to experience the Nick at Night. He's going to expose him to the full moon directly, hoping it'll break him of his delusions. Lawrence just yells that they're putting themselves in danger and ends up sounding like the doctor in Too Many Cooks.
Kill me.
Somewhere in the deep
Kill me.
They don't, and while Henniger prattles on, Lawrence goes through another transformation scene. Whereas the first transformation took place in the shadows, this one is completely illuminated to show off the effects. In fact, they designed this one first, knowing it'd be the much more difficult task.
We figured if we can pull off a transformation in a brightly lit room, full-on man to animal, we can do anything.
Rick Baker wanted the transformation to be more practical, updating the techniques he had used nearly 30 years prior. But Johnston was hired too close to production to comfortably sign off on how it would look. The director decided on using a CG transformation so they would have more flexibility and time to mess with it in post. Thankfully, he had a talented post team, headed by VFX supervisor Stephen Begg and VFX producer Karen Murphy. Those prosthetics made from the life casts were 3D scanned into a computer, which was also done with Del Toro's full body using a larger high-resolution scanner. This gave them a basis for their digital effects, which distorted features of the face and body as they transitioned from Lawrence Talbot to the Wolfman makeup done by Rick Baker. Digital Facility MPC used a proprietary software called Fertility for the hair growth during the transition, one of the more difficult things to do digitally. Sure, not every shot is great, but overall, I don't hate this CG, and when it's over, we get an awesome practical Wolfman. A stupidly heroic orderly tries to sedate the newly transformed Talbot, but the Wolfman quickly overpowers him and extracts a pound of flesh from his belly. He moves on to Dr. Henniger next, whom he throws out the window down onto a spiked gate. Always feels good to land those stage fatalities. Larry escapes onto the rooftops of Victorian London, rendered here in all its dark, glum glory. He finishes singing Out There and howls at the moon. The Wolfman's howls used samples from several rock vocalists, including Van Halen's David Lee Roth and Kiss's Gene Simmons. Aberline pursues Larry as he tries to escape. Hope all these buildings have roof insurance, I tell you what. The furry fiend Goomba stomps one unsuspecting policeman, then runs into the town square in tribute to the Piccadilly Circus scene from the end of An American Werewolf in London. Larry dodges a steam-powered double-decker, which crushes a fleeing pedestrian. Hey asshole, right of way! The bus tips over, allowing Larry to bust in and carve up 4 passengers inside with various claw slashes and swipes. This entire badass action sequence was an amazing merger of practical and digital effects. It started with Henniger's kill, where a stunt performer was thrown through a window onto a crash pad. That shot cuts to an actual human doing a wire stunt, which transitions into CG at the bottom of his fall, where he's impaled with some CG spikes. The end of his death cuts back to the real actor, with the digital spikes coming out of his back. On the rooftops, we see a collaboration between the visual effects team and Del Toro's main Wolfman stunt double, the aptly named Spencer Wilding, whose first credit was also as a werewolf in Prisoner of Azkaban. This dude did a ton of cool shit for the Wolfman. My favorite is when he was on a carpet being pulled at 20 miles per hour to make his running look faster. They compared it to the moving walk at airports. But Wilding was wilding out all over the place, hanging from cables and using a rig around his waist to allow him to run on all 4s. This was a huge part of reshoots. Initially, the Wolfman only ran around on 2 legs, but they thought it looked bad, so they went back and made him part quadrupedal. I think it was the right call. Wilding was filmed running in front of a green screen, interacting with practical props. They called it semi-werewolf parkour. Those shots were composited into a digital London, which mixed 3D elements with 2D images for the distant backgrounds. And lest you think that Goomba Stomp was digital, nah man, they really did that shit! After 3 days of rehearsals, Wilding jumped from an 80-foot roof off of Old Royal Naval College in Greenwich. I just gotta let this footage play out because it's fucking awesome, dude. And it also looks like a lot of fun to do. Finally, the street attack was filmed on the Naval College grounds, keeping it safe from the public since there was so much action involved.
There's a lot of people in a small area with carriages going over and action going on, so we all have to have our wits about us.
A whole bunch of stunt performers had to take an actual fall from a 5.5-ton steam bus. It's a testament to their talents and stunt coordinator Steve Dent that no one got hurt doing these things. Lawrence hurdles his way over ye olde police barricade and escapes into the night. He eventually collapses near a bridge where he sleeps off the fur and claws. He reunites with Gwen in her father's antique shop, another nice subtle nod to the original. He fills her in on the film's second act.
I'm a monster, and so is my father. He killed Ben.
Careful, man. Don't throw her for a looper. Larry's accepted that there's no cure for his condition. It's a part of him now, an inherent vice. But the least he can do is go kill his wolfy dad. Gwen tries to get him to stay with some passionate Raimi romance, but they're interrupted by Aberline, who's here with the latest news. Dozens, not by my count. Talbot escapes before Aberline can find him, and hikes past London's smog farms and through Middle-earth to return to Talbot Hall. His girl on the train rushes to meet him there, but after arriving in Blackmore, she's approached by Maliva, who tells her there's only one way to cure a werewolf.
Will you condemn him? Or will you set him free?
Gwen doesn't know if she can bring herself to kill Lawrence, so good thing there's a carriage full of cops who are more than willing.
What's going on?
Aberline is kind of framed as a villain, but honestly, I'm on his side. Lawrence is clearly a danger. Larry finally makes it back home and finds Singh's decaying corpse, the servant having been killed by Sir John during a murderous night. Damn, after surviving so many living daylights. He grabs a key off the servant's body and uses it to get the silver bullets, the better to shoot Papa with. He follows piano music to the foyer, where he finds the body of an inspector named Carter. Earlier, Aberline had sent him to meet with Sir John. Wolf Dad is tickling the keys and welcomes Lawrence back with his favorite parable.
And lo and behold, there he stands, the prodigal son, for he is returned.
Larry prepares to put his old man down, but Sir John reveals he's sabotaged the silver ammo long ago. He proceeds to beat Lawrence with a silver-headed wolf cane, a tribute to the walking stick from the original. The director's cut of The Wolfman has a scene where Larry gets this cane from Max von Sydow. It's some of these 17 minutes that were restored for the extended version. I've heard that cut is better, but I haven't watched it yet. I am a little skeptical, since it adds so much time to the movie's first 40 minutes, which are already kinda slow. But who knows, maybe one day I'll dust off the cut comparison. The fighting begets a fire in the room, but the real heat of this battle comes from the glow of the full moon. Sir John encourages Larry to embrace his wild side.
You're heir to my kingdom, Lawrence. You've always been heir to my kingdom.
Embrace it, Lawrence. The power! The unlimited power! Sir John's transformation happens faster and is less visibly painful than Larry's. The VFX team reasoned that he'd be more used to the process.
He's at ease with his transformation. He actually enjoys it.
Hopkins's final practical makeup looks great. It's amazing how much his eyes shine through. He was actually so excited about the makeup design, he did a life cast before even signing the contract. Getting a life cast and wearing that makeup is no easy task, especially when you're 71 like he was. So Hopkins did care about this movie to some degree. Larry transforms in turn, so they're ready for an all-out Wolfman fight! The two battle for the title of bigger, badder wolf in the most 2000s remake scene possible. It's goofy as all hell, but I kinda love it. It was filmed by stunt supervisor Vic Armstrong during the many reshoots that ballooned the budget from $85 to $150 million. The fight, coordinated by C.C. Smith, uses lots of wires which were later removed digitally, with the stunt performers being pulled up to battle in midair. The intensity was a pain when it came to the prosthetics, and many spares had to be made.
Sometimes we would destroy a pair of hands in one take, and that doesn't make me very happy.
The VFX team was asked to add a bunch of blood in. They were more than happy to comply.
Some of you oftentimes in visual effects were told to take blood out. This is a film we had a blast with because we could put in as much blood and guts as we wanted to.
Sir John initially gets the upper claw, but Lawrence manages to kick him into the nearby fireplace, setting him ablaze. Ugh, I hate the smell of burnt hair. So does Larry, so he ends his father's reign with a belly slash and a swipe that takes his head clean off his shoulders. Now that is a well-done dogfight. This This head effect was built on footage of Hopkins in front of a green screen. It's funny how he seemed to care most about this movie's effects. Gwen arrives to discover Larry in full beast mode. Aberline's right behind her, so Larry attacks and bites the cop with a vendetta. A spear toss gives Gwen a window to escape. Ah, who throws a spear, honestly? Larry would rather chase a pretty lady than play speary swipey with Aberline, so he Texas Chainsaw Final Girls out a window to pursue. Gwen makes her way into the woods, but can't outrun Larry, who corners her by a waterfall. She makes a desperate appeal to his inner humanity.
Lawrence, you know me. You know me, remember me, look at me.
It works long enough for her to shoot him through the chest. Oh damn, yeah, you go girl. Hairy Larry reverts back to his slightly less hairy human form and thanks Gwen before dying in her arms. Don't worry though, he'll be fine. All dogs go to heaven. The townsfolk catch up and Aberline realizes with horror that thanks to Larry's bite, he's doomed to bear the Talbot curse. The movie ends as Talbot Hall burns to the ground and we're treated to one last howl for the road. Consider it a doggy bag. How many people drop dead once the Wolfman dropped that space in his name? Let's find out and...
Didn't expect that.
28 people died in The Wolfman, 7 times the amount in the original. The victims consisted of 26 dudes and 2 ladies. I guess the Wolfman likes his meat pies manly. Breaking the kills down by culprit, Sir John killed 12 people, Lawrence 15 if you include the guy who got run over, and Gwen secured the last kill by shooting Lawrence. With a runtime of 102 minutes, that left us with a kill on average every 3.64 minutes. I'll give the Golden Chainsaw for coolest kill to Constable Nye. I think this one gets a gasp out of everyone when they first see it. Dull Machete for lamest kill will go to Inspector Carter, since I didn't even know who he was when we saw the body. And that's it. The Wolfman was released in 2010, and plans for another reboot with Ryan Gosling seemed to peter out after Tom Cruise's The Mummy. Maybe we'll see Lawrence Talbot again someday, but until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been the Kill Count.
On the next Kill Count. Here comes Santa Claus, here comes Santa Claus. Whoops, never mind, he's been slain.
I knew it! You're not real.
Looks like Chuck's the only one coming this year in the aptly named Seed of Chucky. The 5th film in the series demolishes the 4th wall and opens up the franchise to new nightmares of pop culture awareness.
Oops, I did it again.
Some say this film jumped the doll, doubling down on the comedy from Bride of Chucky.
How come nobody takes me seriously?
Nice tits.
Thank you.
But we get a great addition to Chucky lore in the form of his and Tiffany's gender-fluid child, Glenn/Glenda.
I want a girl.
I want a boy.
You're tearing me apart.
For all its faults, Seed of Chucky takes chances and gives us plenty of blood.
See? What did I tell you?
So this week, gather the family and watch Seed of Chucky.
I'm down with that.
Then, hopefully on Sunday, you can watch the Kill Count Recount, only on Dead Meat.
Now we really will be the perfect family.
Seed of Chucky can currently be watched on the pictured streaming platforms. Dead Meat always recommends you watch the movie for yourself before its kill count. It's the only way to have your own properly informed opinion. Kill counts are never meant to replace the experience of watching a film.
Thanks a lot for watching this Wolfman Kill Count. I am so sorry that the episodes are all out of order, man. It's just because of copyright claims keeping releases from happening on time. We are trying our best here at Dead Meat Productions to give you the kill counts you want, and some of the ones you don't want, but we're making them anyway. You'll see that Wolfman figure back there? Dude, this figure is fucking dope. I saw that online, I was like, I need to buy that. I want to thank some patrons like Amanur, Asher Barrelette, Ryan Jamison, Jason A. Vaney, Dania Thacker, Elias Ickery, Bailey Tappert, Fidel Negretti, and Megan Gitz. Thanks everyone. Be good people.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. Was a good video. What should I say about it? Pretty much agree with the 2 awards it gave. Yeah. As for the movie, I think, like I said at the beginning, I loved it. I know it's not the best. I know it has flaws, that's for sure. But yeah, so what kind of cool. Also, the final fight was kind of unnecessary. I think maybe it could have been better without it. Maybe. Yeah. What else? I don't know what to say more, to add more to that. Yeah. At least I love the effects. The effects were cool. The two transformation were highlights for me. I love this kind of transformation. The one from An American Werewolf in London is one of my favorite. Of course, it's a very good effect. The one in Howling 2 was very good, very painful looking. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what I can say about the movie and the video. Okay. So, what you can expect from me this week? Like usual, I will try to stream Thursday around noon 30 or noon, around that time, EST time. Probably more towards noon 30. I will be playing my second game of the league in backyard baseball. I hope I will win and have more score more goals this time, because last time it was a very tie game. I won basically just at the end of the last inning, and again it was pretty much an overtime. For the animation Friday, sorry. The animation Friday. This will be another one. Like I said at the beginning of the month, all the animations this month will have a Halloween feel. So this will be another one, another music video. I think I will maybe do another one from another kind of animation towards the end of the month. I don't know what I will do yet, but yeah, I don't want them to be all music video, but most of them will be. That's for sure. Okay. Yeah. So, if you like the video, subscribe and leave a comment, leave a like. You can see my my social media links on the top of the screen. If you want to follow me on Twitter, or I have a link for my channel on Twitch, but I have nothing yet on it. If I decide to stream something on it, I will advise you beforehand, because I want mainly my content to be on YouTube, because my channel is on that, and but maybe I will stream sometimes on it, especially for games. But other than that, maybe watch-alongs that I would like to do once in a while, maybe. Yeah. If that's something that interests you, you can let me know in the comment. Okay. That's about it. Okay. So, see you Thursday. And, yeah. Bye-bye.